All right, today we're pulling back the curtain on something pretty wild. We're going deep inside the high-stakes world of global finance to see the actual blueprint for how the biggest banks on the planet build a digital fortress, one designed to protect trillions of dollars from cyber threats.
So here's the big question, right? Think about it. How does a bank with branches in, say, 100 different countries stop a hacker in real time? I mean, your operations are global, they're 24/7. How on earth do you build a defense that's everywhere at once and can act in seconds? Okay, let's get into it.
Well, for a long time, the simple answer was, you just couldn't. Security was, frankly, a total mess. It was scattered. It was fragmented. Imagine a massive castle, right? It's got hundreds of guards, but here's the catch. None of them talk to each other. That's exactly what it was like for so many global banks.
And you can really see the problem right here. It's all about the contrast. On the left, you've got the old way of doing things, this decentralized security. Every country, every business unit had its own little security team with its own rules. So an attack in, say, Brazil might not even be on the radar for the team in Japan. I mean, talk about massive blind spots. The goal, what everyone's aiming for now, is on the right, a single, unified team with total visibility that can respond instantly no matter where in the world the threat is.
And if you're wondering why this change became so urgent, well, this is it. The 2014 JP Morgan Chase breach. That was a gigantic wake-up call for the entire industry. It proved, in the most painful way possible, that a scattered defense is basically no defense at all against a serious, coordinated attack. The damage, both financially and to their reputation, was just immense. It forced literally everyone to go back to the drawing board and rethink their entire strategy.
So out of all that chaos, a new vision started to take shape. The idea was simple but powerful. Build one single central command center, a place that could act as the brain, the nerve center for the bank's entire global defense system.
And that brings us to the Security Operations Center, or what everyone in the biz calls a SOC. The best way to picture it, think of a military war room, or maybe NASA's mission control, but purely for cybersecurity. It's a real, physical place, and it's staffed 24/7 by experts whose one and only job is to watch over the entire digital network, hunt down threats, and take them out.
Now, some companies, like MasterCard and Citi, they've taken this whole idea a step further with something called the Fusion Center model. And this is just a brilliant illustration of a major shift in thinking. They realize that, hey, cyber threats don't just happen in a vacuum, right? So what they do, they physically put their cybersecurity analysts in the same room as their fraud experts, their threat intelligence teams, even their crisis managers. It completely shatters those internal silos and lets them see the full picture of a threat, like instantly.
And the results? Honestly, they're staggering. At MasterCard's Fusion Center, get this, the time it took to share critical threat info across their entire global company dropped from over a month down to just a single day. That's not just an improvement, that is a total game changer. We're talking about a revolutionary leap in speed.
Okay, but how do you actually build something like this? I mean, it's a huge undertaking. It definitely doesn't happen overnight. Well, we got our hands on a detailed internal plan from a major financial holding company, and it lays out the exact step-by-step blueprint.
Right, so here's the roadmap. And the most crucial point here is that this isn't just about buying a bunch of fancy new technology. No, look at year one. It's all about people and process. You're merging all those separate teams into one spot, getting them to actually talk to each other, and standardizing the rulebook. Only then, in year two, do you start rolling out the unified tech, the big central SIEM for detection and the SOAR for automated response, and you run the old and new systems in parallel, just to make sure nothing breaks. Then finally, in year three, you go global. You connect all your overseas branches and start proactively hunting for the really advanced sneaky threats.
Okay, so you've built your shiny new command center. Now what? What does it actually watch? Well, a SOC runs on data. You have to think of it like an engine that needs fuel. And that fuel is a constant, massive stream of intelligence coming from every single corner of the organization.
In the technology at the very heart of the SOC is something called a SIEM. The absolute easiest way to think of a SIEM is as the central brain of the whole operation. It's this massive technology platform that's constantly collecting and analyzing billions, and I mean billions, of tiny data points, we call them logs, from every single computer, server, and network device. And it's looking for any pattern that might signal an attack.
So, what's the first type of fuel? Identity logs. This is like having a security guard at every single door, both digital and physical. The SIM is watching every single login attempt, and it's asking a bunch of questions.
Who is this? Where are they logging in from? And crucially, is it normal for this person to be accessing this system at 3 a.m. from a country they've never been to before? Okay, next up it's watching the network and the endpoints. And by endpoints, we just mean the employee computers. Think of this as having security cameras in every hallway and motion detectors in every single room of your digital building. The SIEM is constantly analyzing all the data traffic looking for anything suspicious, and it's monitoring every single program running on every machine to spot malware the very second it pops up.
And finally, for a bank, this is the absolute crown jewel. This is the most critical data of all. The SIEM is plugged directly into the financial lifelines of the institution. We're talking the SWIFT system for international payments, all the ATM networks, the core banking mainframes, the whole shebang. Any unusual activity here, I mean anything, like an unauthorized attempt to access SWIFT or a weird pattern of ATM withdrawals, that triggers an immediate code red, high-priority alert.
So let's be real. This is a massive, multi-year, often multi-billion-dollar investment. So the big question from the boardroom is always going to be, how do we know if this thing is actually working, right? How do you even measure success?
Well, you measure it with cold, hard numbers. In the world of cybersecurity, it all comes down to two things: speed and accuracy. And you track this stuff using what are called key performance indicators, or KPIs. This is basically the SOX report card. And here's that report card. And let me tell you, the targets are incredibly ambitious. A top-tier SOC has to find any threat in less than an hour and then completely shut it down in under 4 hours. But speed isn't everything. Accuracy is just as critical. They're aiming for a false positive rate below 10%, because you don't want your best people chasing ghosts. And maybe the most important metric of all, automation. The goal is for software to automatically handle more than 60% of all alerts. That frees up the human experts to focus on the really complex, really dangerous threats. And the impact of getting this right is just huge. Take the Bank of East Asia, for example. By moving to one unified cloud-based system, they were able to roll out their entire security monitoring setup in a new country in just 1 month. 1 month. That's a process that used to take them several months of painstaking manual work.
But of course, technology is only half the story, right? At the end of the day, it's all powered by people. And the SOC team is really cleverly structured in tiers. You've got Tier 1, they're the frontline sentinels, watching the screens 24/7. If they see something serious, they escalate it to Tier 2. These are the investigators, the detectives, who dig in deep to find the root cause. And then, at the very top, you have Tier 3. These are the elite hunters, the special forces who proactively go looking for hidden attackers that even the automated systems might have missed.
So there you have it. That's the blueprint for the modern financial cyber fortress. It's this incredible fusion of people, process, and technology, and it is all built for one thing: speed. But here's the thing, the attackers, they're constantly evolving too. They're always getting smarter, which leaves us with one final critical question. Your financial data, my financial data, it all lives in these global systems. So in this never-ending, high-stakes battle, is the fortress strong enough?